imagine a line stretching into a distance, and along this line, we have several different points. There is point A, point B, point C, and so on and so forth. Now imagine these points actually stand for different goals, and each goal is bigger and better than the last goal. So, point B is a bigger goal than point A, point C is a bigger goal than point B, etc. etc. And it could be any goal in this material world, a goal related to your career, a goal related to finances, a goal related to relationships. For example, for some people, A is their immediate target, which includes a comfortable life, a stable job, a loving relationship, etc. For others, it's B, which might include building their own business, maybe building wealth and not just financial security, buying their own house, achieving a certain status in society. And then there are others who are chasing goal C, goal D, or even beyond. Maybe these kinds of people include people who want to leave behind a legacy, who want to change the world. The list is endless, and for each milestone, there is invariably another glorious milestone right ahead of it. Every human being is on this journey. The goals they have for themselves and the points at which each individual chooses to stop the pursuit may be different, but everyone is chasing something. And in my opinion, the chase is good. It gives your life a direction, a sense of meaning, and the chase is the very reason why generational destinies are changed. But this isn't about me placing a value judgment on a person's goals. Whether you desire a stable job or you want to work in an NGO for the betterment of the world, or you want to be a business tycoon of sorts, whether you want to marry for love or you want to marry for money or you want to marry for status or you don't marry at all. The morality of an individual's goals itself is irrelevant for what I want to talk about today. What is and has always been a lot more intriguing to me is the journey that an individual's morality tends to take while she is in the pursuit of these goals, and how one's moral compass shifts at particular points of this ABC scale. So, the journey usually goes like this. Phase 1 is when a person is in the pursuit of their goal. Let's call this goal A. This is someone who has dreamt about A for years, whether it's a job, a lifestyle, a relationship, money, acceptance, a green card, and EU card, whatever it is. However, this desire is dressed, whether the person says that they only want it because they want to provide for their family or they want to achieve self respect, etc., etc. Deep down, it is just a desire, a want for something, and in many cases, it is laced with greed, which isn't bad either. Greed is just focused desire with a purpose. It is the engine of all action. When a person wants a particular thing badly enough, they start to justify the means that they deem are necessary to get to that point. A person who wants A to the point where the absence of A becomes an ache in their life, it becomes a wound that is constantly hurting. This is a person who does not really mind cutting a few corners to meet his ends. This person isn't particularly hesitant to make decisions that benefit him at the expense of others. This person isn't hesitant to unfairly manipulate a situation so that the situation can tilt in his favor. This person isn't hesitant of arm twisting another person into buying narratives that serve him. Neither is he scared of taking advantage of somebody else's innocence or ignorance or desperation to get what he wants. Because this person is hungry for A. And he knows that goals cannot be reached by caring about every person's emotions or everybody else's well being necessarily. This person understands, or at least he believes that he understands, when he is in the pursuit of A, that empathy very often is a luxury. All his actions are completely rationalized, and if in his pursuit somebody else gets hurt or disappointed, that's their problem and not his. So in short, a person who is very hungry for something and is in the pursuit of that thing which he is hungry for understands that it's a dog eat dog world, and the people that he is stepping over today would do the same if they had a chance. But then something changes when this person reaches A. Now, let's imagine the person who was chasing A has reached A. One of the two things usually happen. They start looking at B, which is the next bigger, brighter goal, because A, as it turns out, isn't as satisfying as they had imagined, or they just spend some time at A and then get bored. Or the second possibility is that they decide that A is enough. They can chill and have fun at A and experience what A has to offer and explore everything about A. Maybe this person has never had a hunger for B or anything beyond A. Maybe this person genuinely always wanted a stable job and never wanted to build a business, right? So, in the second case, something very profound happens. Suddenly, the morality that had taken a backseat when this person was pursuing A climbs into the spotlight. The person who once thought cutting corners was a natural part of the game now starts talking about ethics and fairness. People's emotions, which once felt like inconvenient obstacles, now suddenly become very important. Compassion becomes a virtue. The gospel of kindness and gratitude is preached everywhere, and empathy is no longer a luxury good, it's an essential commodity. People who have reached where they wanted to reach and are no longer interested in going further and are comfortable where they are also people who are very keen on showing the world how full of empathy and kindness they have become. And here's the twist: the same person who once justified 100 small betrayals and compromises to reach point A now turns into the harshest critic of those who chase point B. The ones still chasing are now labeled as greedy, too ambitious, too selfish, money minded, etc. etc. After all, we do not hate anyone more than people who remind us of who we used to be. Think about it. Who preaches more about money not being able to buy happiness than a rich person who has cut a million corners to build her wealth? And it isn't just about money either. People who have left a trail of broken relationships and hurt people behind them often preach the most about the importance of human connection and sanctity of relationships. Once they find the one relationship that ticks all their boxes, people who put their kids in torturous programs that go completely against the child's natural aptitudes and interests for the sake of family name, honor, and in some cases, well, money, expect that their child suddenly start believing in family values and want to suddenly settle down once the amount of wealth they had aspired for, or the honor or the badge that they were striving for, has been reached. People who have burned a million bridges for convenience talk about how people and not things constitute real wealth. The list is really endless. Morality doesn't just seem very convenient, but it almost feels inevitable for a person once the heavy lifting is done and the dice has already been cast in his or her favor. That's why I have always believed that human morality is a very dubious thing. It often presents itself as a matter of deep conscience, of faith, as an inherent and pure sense of right and wrong. But more often than not, it's just convenience dressed up as virtue. It's the morality of comfort born from a place of having accumulated enough, not from a deeper, unshakable sense of principles. If you ask me, there are two main times when a person tends to be at their most moral. Number one is when they have made it to where they wanted to go, when they have reached their version of A or B or C, and they have no other immediate desire to push further. In this state, they can afford to be kind, to be reflective, to pay attention to the human cost of ambition. Number two is when they have lost everything, when the world has stripped them of everything they had, and they are left with nothing but their soul to reflect upon. And also, in this state, morality often becomes a very comforting blanket, a way to make sense of the pain and find some dignity in one's sense of loss. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that true selfless morality does exist. Every day there are thousands of people across the world who are putting themselves in danger, standing up for what they believe is right at their own expense. But this really is not the norm. In my belief, these are outliers. The rare times when people are choosing to act from a place of genuine conviction. Most morality is very deceptive and it rests on a very delicate balance of convenience, self interest, and social approval. That's the reason I believe human greed is often more honest than human generosity. It's easier to decode, it's upfront, it doesn't try to disguise itself, it doesn't wear the mask of compassion when it's just really hungry for a better position. It's not pretending to be anything it isn't. It's raw and unapologetic, and in that sense, refreshingly transparent and different from human generosity. Hate is often more honest than love because we mostly love people for what they can give us and not for those people themselves. However, love is often dressed up in very romantic ideals and lofty promises. And then it vanishes when we stop getting from people what we wanted or when we find a better source. And then those lofty promises are broken. Therefore, love breaks hearts. Hate is kind of undiluted. It appears as it is. It rarely asks for anything in return. And hate doesn't break hearts. Anger is often more honest than forgiveness because it isn't dressed in the garb of spiritual superiority. It isn't an attempt to be the bigger person or to be the holier person. Anger is just what it is. It doesn't signal virtue, it just exists. Envy is often more honest than admiration. Admiration treats envy like a jealous husband treats his wife, always wanting the spotlight to himself, always pretending that the wife either doesn't exist or even if she does exist, she is not super important. Even as she lingers right beneath the surface at all times, envy has the freedom to openly acknowledge the presence of admiration. Envy's existence, its validity, is not threatened by admiration. Envy, unlike admiration, is not performative. It doesn't need to disguise itself with polite applauses. I think we all know it somewhere at an intuitive level, even though we aren't always willing to accept. And I think that is the reason sometimes people are fascinated with darker traits in fiction or also in real life. Something inside us feels, and not always correctly, but it feels like however wrong it is, it at least isn't pretense. That's the reason morality has often made me very uneasy. Not because I don't believe that true morality exists, I do believe it does. But I believe that a lot of morality is very illusory. It's like a mirage, like catfish. It is something else and then it pretends to be something else.